Well, hey, y'all. My name is Willie Lawson, and welcome to the Morning Report. This is the Morning Report for June 9th, 2022. One more day to Wendell's birthday. Wendell, I don't know if you're watching this, but your birthday's tomorrow, you old fart. In any case, what is going on? I'm of the mind that people are losing their mind. I'm of the mind that we are in a time where a lot of people are on the very edge and are likely to do the most heinous things because they're on the edge, and because media and social media and politicians and every conversation is so strident, so full of vitriol, that it just seems like if you are predisposed, I said that word right, if you're predisposed to being mentally ill or violent, this is the time where you are going to act out. And we're starting to see that. We saw that in Buffalo. We saw that in Uvalde. And now we see it at the home of a Supreme Court justice. And I think you can, and this is an article from our friend Spencer Brown at Town Hall. He writes, I think you can draw a pretty direct line. It's not hard. From the things that they've been saying about Kavanaugh for several years to today, Dana Perino said of Democrats' rhetoric against Justice Brett Kavanaugh on Wednesday's edition of The Five. Her analysis, which came hours after a man from California was arrested with a gun, a knife, and zip ties and tape near Kavanaugh's residence, centered on the lack of response or condemnation from Democrats of the attempted murder of a Supreme Court justice. When I tell you that we're living in an episode of Scandal, that is not that is not hyperbole. That is not hyperbole, my friends. This group, Ruth sent us. It's like the Westboro Baptist Church, except for one thing. Perino said of the group that's been posting the address of justices' homes online and organizing protests at their residence. It's illegal to protest at the home of a justice. It is trying to influence an officer of the court. You can't go to a judge's house or a lawyer's house or a witness's house. Is tampering. You can't do it. And for a Supreme Court justice, it's illegal. So Ruth sent us. They were at his house today. They plan to be here tonight, Perino continued before offering advice for the Biden administration of the Democrats in Washington with the power to do something. If people show up at Kavanaugh's home this evening, all those people should be arrested and charged and jailed. That's it. It's easy. The statute has already been written. There's not a scenario where it is okay, where it is allowed for this to happen. Perino says, if I was the Attorney General of the United States, I'd say arrest them all. She said her protesters breaking the law at Justice Kavanaugh's home, and Biden should say they should absolutely be prosecuted. You cannot do this. They have to take a stand tonight, she said. And if they don't take a stand tonight, they are complicit. If anything happens, they're all guilty. The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, has been slow walking this bill that passed the Senate unanimously to protect Supreme Court Justice. Perino also noted the Supreme Court Police Parity Act, a bipartisan effort guided to the unanimous passage in the Senate by Senator John Cornyn, Republican from Texas, and Chris Coons, Democrat from Delaware, has yet to be taken up by the House Democrats. Why is she doing that? Perino asked Pelosi's inaction in the months since the bill passed the upper chamber. She needs to fast track that thing tonight. If you don't, you're complicit. Vice President Harris should come out and and try to calm the people down. Perino, who served in the Bush administration as White House press secretary among other positions, and knows a thing or two about how to run a comm shop or a communication shop, stated for years Democrats have been saying that if Roe v. Wade is overturned, that the police paddy wagons are going to show up and arrest every woman in sight. Now they're saying that Roe v. Wade, if it's overturned, is going to kill women. Perino observed Democrats escalating rhetoric, and if you have this person who said, "I will have a life's purpose of killing somebody," that is so evil. What if Kavanaugh was not even going to? What if Kavanaugh was going to vote the other way? They don't know. Perino said the fact that the final opinion of the Dobbs case dealing with the abortion hasn't been released, and therefore it's not known for certain if Roe will indeed be overturned. It's absolutely absurd. She added before explaining her emotional reaction to the news about the plot against Justice Kavanaugh. She says, "I've known Brett Kavanaugh for a long time. One of my dearest friends when I worked at the White House. And his wife Ashley is lovely, and they have two daughters. Do his daughters deserve this?" Perino asks, "Do they deserve to go to school and have to deal with the fact that someone was going to sneak in their home and kill them?" This, my friends, is what they want. So what should we do this morning? We should get on the phone, 202-225-2525, I believe it is, and demand Nancy Pelosi stop slow walking that bill. And I'll give you the title of that bill right now. Where is it? I'm looking for it. Give me a second here. Because it is illegal. It's already illegal. I mean, there's a bill, but it's already illegal. It's called the Supreme Court Justice Police Parity Act. It was passed unanimously in the Senate. There isn't any Democrat opposition to it. There's only Nancy Pelosi opposition to it. Why? Because the midterms. Everybody who shows up at a Supreme Court justice's home to protest should be arrested, charged, prosecuted, and imprisoned. It's very simple. And if they are not, then those folks that did not carry that out in accordance to law need to be impeached. Now, you guys know I don't use that word very often. They need to be impeached. And the only way they're going to be impeached is that Republicans take over the House in November. That's the only way they're going to be impeached, if Republicans take over the House in November. That's it. And get control of the Senate. If you remember, the House brings charges. The Senate runs the court. You remember the theater of Nancy Pelosi and her lot, walking over the impeachment of Donald Trump, walking over and presenting them in some sort of ceremonial fashion. I don't need all that. But if people show up at Supreme Court justices' houses, everyone there who does not live in that neighborhood should be arrested, charged, prosecuted, and jailed. Every one of them. Every single one. We'll have more on this in just a little bit. Again, my name is Willie Lawson. This is The Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, 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 and FightBackMediaTV.com. We'll be back right after these messages. My name is Willie Lawson of FightbackMedia.com. Thank you for coming to our Patreon page, and we are happy to have you here on Patreon. So this is my, please forgive me, this is my first video for Patreon, and I'm a little nervous because it's so important that I try to explain to you exactly what Fightback Media is about, what the morning report is about, and Speakeasy and my friend Paul Swanson at theswansonreport.locals.com. The idea behind Fightback Media is fairly simple. As most things are simple in concept, but more difficult in practice. Fightback Media exists to push back the legacy media narrative, and in general and specifically where it concerns communities of color. The mainstream media or the legacy media would have you believe that every person of color is a liberal Democrat. When we know is that that's not true, and it's never been true, and actually more than ever, it's becoming definitely not true. As people who are people of color are seeing the damage being caused by liberal Democrats in a lot of our major cities, especially in our
show you how I would deliver this conservative message to the black community. Can I do that real quick? I hear you. I feel you. I get it. Life in your America sucks. Your parents didn't care or weren't there. The schools pushed you out without making sure you can read. Politicians tell you that a brighter tomorrow, so you smoke as much as you can to get through today. You are tired of seeing your brothers, sons, daughters, cousins, your friends killed, imprisoned, or lost to drugs. You want to do the right thing, but all it takes is one time, one mistake for everything to go wrong. And picking yourself up seems impossible because you can't get a job when you have a record. You're sleeping on your mama's couch because you can't afford your own space. You feel unfit to parent your children because your life is so screwed up. What in the hell are you going to teach them? I get it. I know. But you are being surrounded by the people that championed your tracks. They developed your public housing. They took control of your education. They sent your fathers to jail for nonviolent offenses. Made single motherhood cool by calling it feminism. Built the police force through unionization you claim harass you. And now when you're fed up, they give agitators reign to burn down your city. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. If your friends are yelling for death and destruction, do they actually want change? Is it that what you live in now? Democrats want to be the party of the poor. In order for that to happen, they have to keep you poor. You always have to fight the oppressor. That will mean you are always oppressed. You call us the party of the rich. And I'm straight out of State South. Well, I had it written down already. We just say it like you call us the party of the rich. And I'm not going to be spineless like those who run from it. I'm not rich, but by the grace of God, I will be. I love the feeling of security. I love being financially dependent on no one but myself and my husband. I love being able to provide my daughters with Nikes and books, an iPad and robotics camp. It is a great feeling. Now come and eat with us. Come and eat with us. If you
Okay, we're back. Thank you ever so much for coming to the Morning Report. Again, my name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, 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 and Fightback Media TV. I just went through Twitter, and there's still, yesterday afternoon, groups, albeit small groups of people who are outside of Justice Kavanaugh's residence. When I say small, small enough to be rounded up by some paddy wagons, and they shouldn't call them paddy wagons, I guess, because I don't know what the other name is for them, and some vehicles that can get 10 or 12 people in it, and some police cars and some other police vehicles. These people should be arrested, charged, prosecuted, and thrown in jail for their crimes. And if they don't, and if they're not prosecuted, and Lord forbid anything at all happens to one of these Supreme Court justices or their families, then as much as I hate using impeachment like that, then the impeachment should start. Earlier, yesterday, a man was arrested, as we talked about in an earlier segment, near Justice Kavanaugh's house for saying he wanted to kill the Supreme Court justice. The suspect was later identified as 26-year-old Nicholas John Roski of Simi Valley, California, and the federal charges of attempted murder have been filed against him. The White House was mostly quiet about the incident, though. And I went through Twitter and I looked to see if there was any comment. No, complete silence. There have been no tweets about it from the White House Twitter account, from the website. No tweets from the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre's account. There's been nothing from the President Joe Biden personal or official account, nor from the Vice President Kamala Harris's personal or official account. People are tweeting, does he even know? You think he knows? You want to be one of the go in and wake him up from his nap? Has his staff told him what his position is yet? What we've heard from the Biden administration has come from media reports. For instance, Attorney General Merrick Garland spoke about it while he had already been speaking about last month's tragic shooting in Uvalde, Texas, at Robb Elementary School that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. This is from a Fox News report. The U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland addressed the incident at a press conference previously planned to provide an update on the federal investigation in the Uvalde, Texas elementary school shooting. This kind of behavior is obviously behavior that we will not tolerate. What the hell does that mean? You mean that the people who have shown up at Supreme Court justices' homes because that is a breach of federal law have been arrested and charged and jailed? Is that what you mean? Threats of violence and actual violence against the justices, of course, strike at the heart of our democracy. They love using that phrase. We will do everything we can to prevent them and hold people accountable, and hold people who do them accountable. The people that we should hold accountable, Merrick Garland, is you. You should be held accountable because these people are still out there in front of their homes. Garland said that he accelerated the protection of all justices' residents 24/7 and met with the marshal of the court last month, he said. Also convened a meeting with the marshal as well and the deputy FBI director. And the U.S. Marshal Services with the Justice Department's own law enforcement prosecutors to ensure every data protection available. Just yesterday, I met with Judge Salas and Judge Sullivan, the Judicial Security Committee and the Judicial Conference, and assured them of our complete support for their efforts with respect to the judicial security. So you've been having meetings. Screw having meetings. Get cops on the street. Get people in handcuffs. I don't want to hear about your meetings. Nobody wants to hear about your damn meetings. You need to get out in the street, get some cops out there, start putting people in handcuffs, and throwing their asses in jail. No, it's actually not obvious given the administration's track record, which Garland is a part of. Another Fox News report by Brooke Simon detailed how, quote, Biden condemns actions of armed men arrested near Kavanaugh's home supports increased security for justices. The condemnation from Biden came in the form of a not entirely believable statement from the White House Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates. Here's what it is. The White House Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates told Fox News Wednesday that President Biden condemns the action of this individual in the strongest terms and is grateful to law enforcement for quickly taking him into custody. As the president has consistently made clear, public officials, including judges, must be able to do their jobs without concern for their personal safety or that of their families, Bates said. And any violence, threats of violence, or attempts to intimidate justice have no place in our society. Bates stressed that the president has said that himself and his spokesman have been forceful about this from the podium. Don't know if I heard that. The president supports legislation to fund increased security for the court and judges, Bates said. You don't need that. That's not doing anything. People who are out in front of their homes need to be rounded up, put in handcuffs, the way that you did, what's his face? Put him in leg irons, throw their ass in jail. Put him in jail. Charge them, prosecute them, and then put them in jail. Bates added that with regards to threats to justice, the Department of Homeland Security has also said they are, quote, working with their partners across every level of government. That is all BS. All of it's BS. BS. It's easy to just show up with the cops, round their asses up, and put them in jail. All of them. Every freaking one of them. All of them. I don't want to hear about your meetings. I don't want to hear about your partnerships. I don't want to hear about your cooperations. I don't want to hear about any of that. What I want to see is these people in handcuffs and leg irons being frog marched off to jail. That's what we need to see. If you're serious about protecting a cornerstone of our democracy, that's what you'd be doing. If you're not doing that, you're not serious about it. You've never been serious about it. And you want these judges to be intimidated, so somehow Roe v. Wade stands. Roe v. Wade stands. Now, if I could take a brief detour of how stupid this is, even if somehow, prayerfully, the court overturns Roe v. Wade, the saddest part about all of that is it doesn't make abortions illegal. Abortions will still be available in New York and California and Illinois, and probably most states in the union. That's the sad part. And the part that the media keeps lying or won't tell the truth, and politicians keep lying and won't tell the truth about what it really means, is despicable. So much, in fact, that idiots like this dude from Simi Valley, who says publicly that he's going to kill a Supreme Court justice, and shows up with all these tools, like, again, this is some episode of Scandal. And what are we just waiting for something to happen? So despite how Bates claimed in his statement that Biden's spokesman have been forceful about this from the podium, then the White House Secretary Jen Psaki memorably downplayed protests at the homes. I remember that, as we reported. She told Fox News reporter Peter Doocy that people had a lot of passion and framed the issue as sympathizing with protesters. You can sympathize with them all you want. What they're doing is against the law. Round them up, put them in handcuffs, charge them, prosecute them, jail them. But I think we shouldn't lose the point here, Psaki insisted. The reason people are protesting is because women across the country are worried about their fundamental rights that they've had been along for 50 years. Their rights to make choices about their own bodies and their own health care is at risk. That's why people are protesting. They're unhappy. They're scared. It's illegal. Round them up, put them in handcuffs, charge them, and throw their ass in jail. Period. End of story. We'll be back after this. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Willie Lawson of FightBackMedia.com. Thank you for coming to our Patreon page, and we are happy to have you here on Patreon. So, this is my. Please forgive me. This is my first video for Patreon, and I'm a little nervous because it's so important that I try to explain to you exactly what Fightback Media is about, what the morning report is about, and Speakeasy and my friend Paul Swanson at theswansonreport.locals.com. The idea behind Fightback Media is fairly simple. As most things are simple in concept, but more difficult in practice. Fightback Media exists to push back the legacy media narrative, and in general and specifically where it concerns communities of color. The mainstream media or the legacy media would have you believe that every person of color is a liberal Democrat. When we know is that that's not true, and it's never been true, and actually more than ever, it's becoming definitely not true. As people who are people of color are seeing the damage being caused by liberal Democrats in a lot of our major cities, especially in our All right, we're back. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is The Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of FightbackMedia.com, 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 and FightbackMediaTV.com. Here's the deal. And I know this whole program this morning has been about what's happened out in front of the Kavanaugh residence, and I believe it's because it's extremely important. It does hit at the cornerstone of what separates us from everybody else in the world. We are indeed supposed to be a country that is ruled by the rule of law, and that judges and courts can't be pressured into decisions by protesters and public opinion and the such. It has to be blind to that and simply follow the law. And especially the highest court in the land has no obligations to anything else but the Constitution. It doesn't have an obligation to party. It doesn't have obligation to ideology. It doesn't have an obligation to media. It doesn't have no obligation to me or you. It has an obligation to one thing and one thing only: the Constitution as it's written. I don't think a lot of people realize that, and it takes a fairly mature citizenry to understand that it doesn't bend to protest. Supreme Court justices aren't elected officials that you can pressure them and then remove them by law. That's why they have lifetime appointments, because they should only have to worry about one thing and one thing only: are they upholding the Constitution of the United States? And if they're not, for whatever reason, the very bedrock of our society is at risk. The very bedrock of our society is at risk. This is why this is so important. This is why those who are charged with making sure that this stuff doesn't happen have to jump into action right this very minute. But right now, leftist activists are protesting outside Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's home the very same day a man was arrested for allegedly planning to kill him over the upcoming rulings on abortion and gun rights. Police were outside the home as protesters gathered with signs vowing to continue civil disobedience. Okay, if the police were outside their homes, but outside his home, they should have waited, looked around, moved in, built a perimeter, and just start putting people in jail. Just start handcuffing and zip tying people and throwing them in the police wagon and taking them to jail. Apparently, they also plan to protest outside of other Supreme Court justices' house, including Amy Coney Barrett. Same deal. Let them come on in, surround them, arrest them, handcuff them, hog tie them, whatever you have to do. This is the tweet from Ruth sent us. Fundamentalists will talk about nonstop about how peaceful protests inspired this rather than the daily mass murders in America. This is what the weapon of the California man had. It was a gun or a knife. Yes, it was a gun. Or even a knife. Yeah, it was a gun. The California man carrying at least one weapon. This is from the Washington Post. Blah, blah, blah. He had a gun. Abuser Kavanaugh's abusive groupies are delighted the man had a gun and a knife and pepper spray. Why the gun listed first? Everyone knows the gun is the problem. It's the most dangerous weapon the lost attacker had. Kavanaugh is a white supremacist, and Zena Bash is too. These people need to be held accountable for these crimes. We don't have to wait until something happens. Doing what they're doing now is already illegal. It's already punishable by law. We don't have to wait until something happens. If there are police there already, police should first make the announcement, hey, y'all can't be here, move along. And they decide that they're going to stay there, even if they're on a public street. It doesn't matter. The law says even if it's on a public street, they need to be arrested, charged with a federal crime, and put in jail. In the very same jails they put people in jail for the January 6th riot or protest, and left them there for months without being able to find counsel. Some people were put in solitary confinement for weeks on end. The very same treatment. And when they talk about that Psaki said that, the White House has had a strong opinion about what has happened. We're going to play that. I'm going to play what she said here in just a minute, because this is what she actually said. This is what she actually said. Go ahead and roll that.
So I know that there's an outrage right now, I guess, about protests that have been peaceful to date, and we certainly continue to encourage that outside of judges' homes, and that's the president's position.
Doesn't sound like a strong opinion that these things shouldn't be happening. So whatever they say about how much they think this is terrible, and they're working with this person or that person, or all BS. People should be arrested right now. Right this very moment. The jails in the Virginia area and Maryland area and DC area should be filling up with these people. It should look like friggin' Austin, Texas in these places. That's what needs to happen. We'll continue to pray for the safety of every Supreme Court justice, all 9, even the ones we disagree with, because in doing that, we're praying for our own safety and our own security. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.